Okay, at this time, I need an approval of the agenda or any amendments from board members, please. We need a motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda for today.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for today. Are there any discussions? Hearing none, we will vote. Verbal vote?
Verbal, please.
Yay.
Yay.
Lines.
Aye.
Mr. Collett.
Okay, thank you. Vote is 3-0. Motion passes. I would like to welcome everyone that's out with us this afternoon, well, this evening for this meeting. Today is Monday, April the 21st, 2022. The meeting is located at Georgia D. Tyler Middle School, 23320 North Court Street, Windsor, Virginia, 23487. And today, again, I said is Monday, April the 25th. And the time is 6 p.m. The reason, well, before I go into the reason, at this time we will have a Pledge of Allegiance by Mrs. Dow and a moment of silence.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll take a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dow. At this time, we will open the public hearing. And the reason we are having this public hearing because, as you know, we're going through the process of hiring a new superintendent, which will be the leader of our school system. And we did a public hearing last week on the other end of the county, which was held at Westside, and we're doing this one tonight for this end of the county. And this is why it's very important that we hear from the public qualifications for this particular individual, because this is the individual that's going to be working with your children if you have children, or they're going to be working with the children in Isle of Wight County, working with the employees of Isle of Wight County School. And we want to make sure we choose the best individual for our community. At this time, if we will have our first speaker to come up.
Okay. In accordance to policy BDDHE, presentation of information on any subject will be concluded at the discretion of the board. No person will be recognized to speak more than once. Citizens scheduled on the agenda to speak will be permitted 4 minutes maximum time for their presentation. Delegations will be requested to limit their speakers to 2. Persons speaking are asked to be specific, state the issues for the board's consideration, and attach a copy of your prepared remarks. If you have prepared remarks, they should be given to the board clerk. Please do not approach the board members. Any matter relating to specific students will be heard by the school board only in closed session.
Thank you. At this time, first speaker, sign up.
Mr. David Adams.
Best to not break your microphone. Good.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and fellow citizens. My name is David Adams, and I live in the Windsor District, or District 4. I pray that Mr. Cunningham is recovering and and can return as soon as he's healthy enough to do so. While we may disagree on issues and have different points of view, please know that I appreciate the commitment that all of you took and are doing to help the schools, so thank you. I know there were some comments last week that were inappropriate, and I just want to extend that to you. There's no need to hastily hire a new superintendent, in my opinion. The board should be deliberate and exercise diligence to ensure that the right person is brought in to fill this unanticipated vacancy. I watched the previous meeting and the comments of those citizens that spoke. I agree with most of the comments that were made where we need togetherness. We need to find a common shared vision for the school district. I just wanted to point out that I fundamentally disagree with the citizen who spoke and sought to squelch citizens' speech if they don't have children currently enrolled in the district. Those individuals pay taxes just like everybody else, and they should have an opportunity to have their voice heard. I hope every citizen in Isle of Wight completed the superintendent search survey that closed on April 19th, and I hope that those results are shared with the public as soon as possible. The results of the survey should be final. It was an electronic survey, so those results should be available immediately. Without that, the board is faced with a tremendous pressure to read the minds of the citizens, but don't worry, I'm here to help with that. Here are the qualities that are needed in the next Isle of Wight County Public Schools superintendent. They must be apolitical. Each citizen can and should participate in the democratically elected representative republic system of government that we have. But when acting as a superintendent, this individual should only be guided by his or her determination as to what is best for Isle of Wight County Public School students' academic success. They must promote consensus, ensure that classroom instructional staff, support staff, and other education professionals within our district have input into the decisions being made. I don't expect every decision will come before a board, nor would I want that. If there are decisions that warrant input from the community, ask for and consider the responses before making a proposal to the board. They should engage the community. Willingness to be transparent with the community about everything in the curriculum. The parents should not be the last to know what is in the curriculum. Rebuild the bond between the community and the school system. Tell the story of what the school system is doing for the students. If we're not promoting ourselves, who is? We need to figure out, as you can see, how to increase parental participation. I don't know how to do that, but they should know, or hopefully. Build relationships with local industries to find out what will make our graduating high school students that choose not to go to a 2 or 4 year college valuable in the local workforce. In closing, please don't rush this process. Our schools will not close if a superintendent is in place. There are 2 or 3 superintendent designees that can handle the business of the district until the permanent hire is made. The individuals in Charlottesville, Roanoke, and every other corner of the state won't have to deal with a bad rushed hire. We will. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, Madam Chair.
That's it? Okay, that's the only one we had to sign up, but if there is anyone in the audience tonight that would like to come in, you have an opportunity at this time to walk up. And as Jessica said, Ms. Whitlow, you have 4 minutes to speak once you start, okay?
And if you could just give me your name.
Name and district.
Yep, absolutely. Lewis Edmonds, 4th District.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Since I only have 4 minutes, I will try to be efficient in my remarks. First, I'd like to address the releasing of the survey results. There is no reason not to release these survey results. Anytime the parents are providing input to the schools should in turn provide that input back to the parents and citizens so that we're all on the same page. And also I would add that's the only way that the citizens can hold the board accountable to that input is if we are aware of that input when you make your decision. So in no particular order, I'd like to remind you that the majority of our students will not go to college right away after they graduate, and therefore CTE and what we've done with trades and preparation for people other than college routes has to be paramount to the person that we decide to bring in as a superintendent. A lot of the academic stuff will take care of itself as far as children getting into college, but we have made great progress on this, and it's not enough just to continue it, but it needs to grow. I'll remind you this county is still a very rural county. I know in the northern end of the county there's a lot of growth and everything else, but here in the southern end it's still very much a rural county, and I think that experience in that kind of environment would be important to the school superintendent. Transparency in the entire process is critical. I understand the challenges of being able to bring in people and interview them and maintaining their confidentiality, but where possible this board should lean towards transparency. References are critical, specifically not just who they offer, but if you're hiring, especially if you're hiring from another superintendent, if you're hiring a superintendent from another school system or someone who would have interacted with that school board, it's incumbent that you talk to all those school board members prior to hiring. Do not limit your list to the VSBA. I understand that's a good starting point. There are people already qualified and certified. I understand that, but I would not use that as a limiting factor. We need someone who embraces special education, doesn't see it as an administrative burden. That's not a hit on the current administration. I can't really say one way or another how they are, but special education is important. It is heavily administrative and burdensome in that manner, but it's very important that those students are treated not only equally, but understanding the special needs and the extra attention that they need. I think that the next superintendent should be someone who can make a deliberate decision to stop what I would call the abdicating the role of teaching from in-person, teacher-specific experience, and kind of we've gotten into this habit through COVID and everything else where we're passing a lot of things off to technology. I think that the pendulum has swung too far that way. We need somebody who can bring it back a little bit closer to making sure that that in-person classroom experience is more valuable than whatever we're offering through iPads and other technology.
It's 1 minute.
Yep. Construction, obviously, assuming you make a good choice and the next superintendent, that superintendent's going to go through at least one brand new construction process and hopefully at least start a second, if not see through 2 of them. So doesn't mean they have to know how to build a school, but they need to be able to talk to managing that. Humility, patience, the ability to delegate execution but not responsibility is important. I think the way that the transportation was handled earlier this year, where somebody resigned but there was never any accountability at the beginning or at the top, is a good example of delegation without taking on the responsibility. And my last piece, since I'm short on time, is the role of the superintendent is to provide his or her best advice to the school board, not to lead the school board, not to guide the school board, but to provide that advice. The school board needs to run the school board, and the superintendent needs to provide his or her best advice when asked. And
that's
with that,
time.
I'll stop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Herb DeGraaf, the Carsville District. According to the VSBA School Board's manual, most important job the school board has is to select a superintendent. Tough job, because you'll have a myriad of candidates. If you could go back and look at the last 5, 8 superintendents and select their best qualities, you probably come up with an ideal candidate. However, you're going to get everything from soup to nuts. And I'm sure Ms. Patterson will do her best to help you have a group of the best candidates. But at that point in time, it becomes the board's responsibility to select a superintendent who is a leader in every respect, who will help in promoting professional development of all people under his control, from central office administrators all the way down to the teachers in the classroom, because as Ms. Edwards used to say, it's what takes place in the school building that really counts as far as educating our children is concerned. The superintendent candidate that you select has got to have those leadership qualities of trustworthiness, of good character, and a manager of money, because that's what really drives the system. It's the amount of money that it gets from the local taxpayers and the state and the federal government. So I wish you well in your search. I know it's not going to be an easy task, but take your time. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. And last of all, make sure that anybody who gets an offer of employment, that it is contingent upon the receipt of satisfactory references from their previous employer or employers. Unfortunately, if that had taken place the last time, we wouldn't have had all the issues that we've had over the last 6.5 going on 7 years. So again, thank you very much and good luck. And I've got something for Jessica to give you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come up to speak? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. At this time, we'll move on to item number 7, which is the board comments. Mr. Colick?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Madam Chair, we've moved through this very quickly, and going back over the notes, since Dr. Thornton has submitted his retirement request, the board never voted on how to proceed with the new superintendent. Now, that is not to blame anyone in particular. It is just a fact. We're a new board, and we didn't all know. So we did contact the VSBA without a vote, and we committed to pay $12,000 without a contract to VSBA. By agreeing to this amount of money, we have, in essence, we might as well just have had a closed meeting without any board members' knowledge or the community's knowledge. Madam Chair, we need to cease the search, restart the process in accordance with both the Virginia laws and the school policies. Otherwise, I'm going to move forward to seek legal opinion from another source who specializes in school law on the legality of what was so far had a non-transparent, independent financial decision to pay VSBA for a search that was never voted on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I had a question for Mr. Edmonds. You mentioned, I couldn't hear your comment about rural. You said, remember, it's a rural area, and I couldn't hear the rest of the comment after
Sure,
that.
it's just a reminder that while the northern end of the county is growing very fast and everything else, the southern end of the county is still very rural. And there's certain aspects that come with that that are very different than, let's say, if you were to hire somebody from Virginia Beach and everything, you know, how we manage transportation, how we manage, you know, I'm guessing, but Virginia Beach probably doesn't have an agricultural program and that kind of thing. So that's really what I was getting at, is that we have different, I think if you could hire somebody who's either at least been in that kind of a school system or comes from that kind of school system where they're managing, that's part of that community and understanding those specific needs compared to an urban area.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mrs. Stiles? Okay. And Mr. Colick, I'm going to, my board comments, I'm going to refer to you. When you said you want to cease the search of the superintendent because the board did not approve of Virginia School. Actually, on April the 5th, when Mrs. Patterson came down from Virginia School Board Association, I invited her down because I had 4 new members on this board. Mrs. Patterson nor myself discussed anything about her, Virginia School Board Association, doing the search. She was only invited down so she could let the new board members, as well as myself, go through the process of hiring a new superintendent. Did she do that or did she not?
Oh, she absolutely did, and I had no issues with that.
On the day of that meeting, if you had any concerns, that's when you should have voiced your opinion. Because while we were in that meeting, we all agreed we're going to do this timeline. And when sitting there, we said, Mrs. Dowell, I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, let me know. We said, well, okay, we're going to go on with you. She said she would come back. That was telling her then we were willing to go with her organization to help us through this process. Again, too, charging us $12,000 is not a lot because there are other agencies out there that would assist us, true. But it's going to cost a whole lot more money, the citizens, as well as Wight County School Board, more money to get them to do this process. And it's not necessarily saying that they will know the candidates as well as somebody that work with a lot of these candidates all the time. And that's, I'm just going to leave that with you.
Well,
But you can go forward and do what you need to do or what you feel like you want to do.
Madam Chair, we never had a vote. Yes, we had a consensus that the information that Ms. Patterson provided was very good. We never did have a vote. And as I told you before I came on the board, I'm all about sticking to the policy, sticking to law, whether I agree with them or not. I think it's very important. And in this particular case, we haven't. I think we are rushing. I don't know why we are rushing. We have 180 days from July 1st up until we have to have a school superintendent in place. And I just don't understand it. There are processes that need to go through, and we have not had a vote.
Well, up until this point, which we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow night.
Mhm.
The board will sit down and discuss the qualifications. This is what we got input from the public tonight. We're gonna get the input from the survey and the input we got last week from the public. We're gonna sit down and discuss that tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, it's not a problem. That meeting is open to the public. We can have a vote in that meeting tomorrow night. If you don't want Virginia the School Board Association to help, we can choose another agency to help. That's not an issue, because we do not have one on contract as of yet. The only thing they would probably charge us for her coming down to talk to us, handling the survey, because we needed a survey. We need to know how to go forward. If the public, taking that survey, if the public said, hey, we don't want anyone, if the people that came up here to our hearing said, we don't want anyone, then we go from there. Our first meeting as a board on the superintendent will be tomorrow night. We really have not had one.
Then, if that's the case, then I think we owe it to the public to have a vote on whether or not we're going to use the VSBA. I am
Well, we
fully
can do that.
confident
That's
that
not a
that's
problem.
going to be the end result.
Bo, do you have that information tomorrow night when we come to the meeting?
But we absolutely,
Your agenda,
So is there an
please.
issue that you have with the VSBA, or you just want to vote?
I want to follow the processes. It's important that when there's a process in place, we follow it. When there's a law in place, we follow it.
I get that. I was just asking you personally, is there something
No.
that you had an issue with the VSBA?
Not with Ms. Patterson and that portion, no, not at all.
Okay. I get the process. I understand that. I
Yeah.
was asking you personally, is there an
No.
issue that you had with them in particular?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So tomorrow night, you want there to be a vote to,
An action.
an action
Yeah,
to choose whether or not we go with the VSBA.
right.
Well,
And
okay, well,
in all reality, we're going to go with them, but it's the process. And that is something I am always been adamant about in any position I've ever held. If there's a process that's been voted on, or there's a legal process, we've got to stick to it. We can't change it.
I think it was Mr. Edmonds. You don't have to move, Mr. Edmonds. Reference, talk to the school board member from the school district, a previous district that the hiring superintendent, the new superintendent will be coming from. If possible. The reason I say that, a lot of times, and if you've ever been in a professional position applying for a professional job, you will understand what I'm saying. On the application, they are asked for references. Most of the time, they would put references upon request. That meaning, most of those applicants that we're gonna get for superintendent, previously, when we had to hire, that's what it was. It's down there upon request, meaning if they're considered for that position, then we can request a reference. And we can very well ask for a reference from previous locations, okay? But if they don't give them to us, just to go out and seek that on our own, that's like, sort of can set up us from some issues as well.
I think
But-
Mr. DeGraaf made a good suggestion. Any offer should be contingent on that discussion.
Well, it can be contingent as far as signing the contract that we follow up with someone from your previous assignment.
Absolutely.
But up to that point, we just don't go out and say, hey, for instance, Mr. Edmonds, Lewis Edmonds is applying for this job as superintendent. And the three of us decided, oh, I know where he's working. Let's go call these people, That's not good. We don't do that. It's not professional. But if we decide Lewis Edmonds is the number one top right now, and we want to hire him, we would get with Mr. Edmonds and say, hey, we need some references. because you said upon request. And if you put down your former board members or whatever, fine, we can reach out to those individuals. But if you don't, then we can sit down and say, can we reach out to a former board member that you have worked for? And if you say no, we would add, I guess we could ask you why or whatever, But it should be someone that you have worked for directly that hopefully we can reach out to them. Most of the time they will say, it's not a problem. They just don't want us to reach out before we offer them a position, okay?
I'm very familiar with how that works.
Okay.
Once you get to the point that you're willing to offer, then,
Right.
then they should be completely transparent with anybody, and especially if you're hiring from somebody who's already serving as a superintendent.
Right.
That entire school board should be fair game for
Right.
this school board to talk to understand what you're getting.
And the last time that we hired, I was on a school board at that time. And I know a lot of times people get their information from the local newspapers, but they did not ask any school board members. We did reach out to the previous locality, but that was upon offering the superintendent an application, okay? I mean, not application, position, a contract. And once we offered the contract, we did request references.
I'm not suggesting anything from previous school boards or
Right.
superintendents. I'm just saying, as a general good practice, once you get to the point that you're comfortable to offer that person,
Right.
then you should do all the due diligence that you couldn't do before.
Right.
To make sure that you're making
But I was just saying that, I know what you were saying, but I was just saying that we did that the last time, okay?
That's fine.
And it, we did. We reached out to the school board the last time, okay? And the information that was given, it was confidential, and we just left it at that. We didn't have to tell anyone what was said, because that was just for the board, okay? And I'm gonna be honest with you, that we reached out to a couple, and one was here, one was here, and there was a third one we reached out to, it was here, so it is what it is. I guess if somebody reach out now and talk to this board, somebody's gonna have positive or negative, and you don't know who to believe, but you just go with what qualifications at that point, okay? They have all of the qualifications we were asking for. And going forward, that's pretty much we're gonna do this time. My only concern is with a lot of our meetings, our meetings are videoed. A lot of people are gonna watch our meetings. Anyone that's gonna apply for a position in Isle of Wight County will, going forward, watch our board meetings, and they will go back and watch some of the previous meetings. Some of them will probably decide whether they want to apply by just watching the meetings, and that's all I'm gonna say, okay?
I do want to say one more thing. I don't know why, I don't know what will be holding the public from being able to see the surveys. I already kind of went through the survey. We do have our work cut out for us because it's from a central office standpoint, then you see from the staff, you see from the parents. So I had already written down some of the top 3 characteristics. They had personal characteristics like intellectual, good listener, creative. Some other things people were interested in as a decisive leader, a motivator, organized. They did make mention about, understanding the difference between policy and admin, willing to assume a leadership role while also helping the board. But then matching those with the qualifications, boy, we do have, because you have to match that with that, so it can't, so it'd be good for everybody to come because the qualifications is about 4 pages. There's different options on here, but they have to know a lot, like even just the knowledge section. So if people can come and actually, I don't know if we can provide this that we have, that I've read already. But yeah, it's matching those two is, yeah. So I just want to, I've already went through the surveys. I went through most of the comments. There were a lot of comments, so probably about 50% of the comments I went through. I went mostly in the meat potatoes of them actually doing the percentages and looking at, was it 100%, 80%? So I just did the top 3 on certain ones. But boy, they couldn't be kind of different from central office saying one thing is required or preferred versus the parent saying something completely different. So I'd be interested to see, but yeah, all 3 are right. Our work is definitely cut out for us, so.
And I'm gonna request to the board tomorrow night that Mrs. Briggs our spokesperson, put an attachment out there so you all can access the survey, because there are no names on that, so that's not a problem, okay? It's just the other night when that question came up, I really hadn't thought about it. We had just gotten the survey in, and I didn't want to go say, hey, yeah, we're going to put the survey out there, and then I find out, oh, no, we can't do that, you know? So, like I said, I don't see any reason why not, but it will probably not go out until after tomorrow night. We look at everything, okay? And soon after tomorrow night, we'll let Ms. Briggs know, hey, put it out there, okay? As a matter of fact, they haven't even started advertising for the position yet.
Has the public notice already been made about tomorrow evening?
Yes, it's all there. As a matter of fact, we're not going to even have it at central office anymore. The meeting is going to be held at West Side. But I do want the public to know that although they're invited in, it is a meeting for the board to discuss everything that we've heard from the 2 hearings and the surveys, and put it together and come up with the list of qualifications that we want. And we did hear you, and we're listening. That's what we want. And pretty much what a lot of you said tonight, a lot of those were on the survey as well, and then some of the people that came out last week said the same thing. So, and that's it. And before you leave tonight, I was at the Strategic Planning Committee today. The steering committee met this morning, West Side Elementary. We've from 8:30 till about 12:30, some to 1, and the plan is complete. Just got some little things here. Eventually, it's gonna be out soon because we're gonna have to vote on it by June. Okay, the board would have to vote on it, and I just want you all to know that a lot of staff, community people, parents, students worked very hard all year on that plan. And I don't want people to just look at it and toss the paper when it comes home and the trash is just another piece of paper. No, please keep it. Put it on your bulletin boards at home. Put it on your refrigerators, because that is what we're going to be doing for the next 5 years with the students in Wight County, okay? Whether we're here or not, whomever is here, that's what they're going to be doing with those students, for the students in Wight County. So we had a lot of input, and when I say parents, we had a lot of parents there, diverse group of parents all across the county, and they came in, as well as we had students from Windsor and Smithfield High, and of staff, and like I said, people work very hard on it. So, and I'm happy with what they've come up with, and hopefully the board will see something our June meeting, okay? Anything else before this board tonight? Hearing none?